Hey friends, Peter Faciano here. Welcome back and thanks for tuning in. Based on today's thumbnail, I'm revisiting the Viltrox speed booster for the Canon M50. If you watched my previous two videos, you realized I had some mistakes, I had some misconceptions, and thanks to all the viewers making those comments down below, I've learned a lot, and that's why I am making this revisit video to the Viltrox. I'm going to jump right in and talk about the different crop factors, whether you're shooting in 1080p or 4K. Currently, right now, I don't have a booster on the camera. I'm shooting with my EF-M lens. Here comes Caesar. I'm shooting with my EF-M 22mm f2, and I'm shooting in 4K. So let's deal with a 4K crop factor without the speed booster. I've got my glasses. I'm going to read from the paper so I don't make mistakes like I did last time. The Canon M50 shooting in 4K has a 2.56 crop factor, which means you have to multiply the focal length and the aperture of your lens by 2.56 to get your true full frame equivalent lens. 22 times 2.56 is going to give me a 56mm equivalent, and then you also need to multiply that number by the aperture as well. An f2 times 2.56 gives me an f5. So essentially right now with this current setup without a booster, I'm shooting with a full frame equivalent of a 56mm f5. If I were to take this lens and shoot in 1080p, then I have a different crop factor of 1.6. So 22 times 1.6 gives me a full frame equivalent of a 35mm lens with an f3.2 aperture. Fun stuff, right? Let's move on. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and swap out my EF-M lens to the Sigma 18-35, and I'm going to put the booster on there and talk about the crop factors with that. All right, I'm back with the Sigma 18-35 with the booster. So let me run through the numbers with this. I'm currently shooting in 4K, so I need to multiply the booster number 0.71 times 2.56, which is the 4K crop. That gives me a 1.8 crop factor. Take that number, multiply the focal length and the aperture of the lens that I'm using, which is 18, 1.8. I end up shooting a full frame equivalent of a 32mm f3.2. Now, if I were to shoot in 1080p, the crop factor again drops and you get a little bit closer to the actual full frame experience. So you take those same numbers with a speed booster, 0.71, multiply it by the crop factor of 1.6, and you end up with 1.136. Take that number and multiply it by your focal length, which is 18, and the aperture 1.8, and essentially shooting in 1080p, my full frame equivalent would be a 20mm 2.0 lens. All right. Enough of the numbers. Now let's go ahead and talk about the compatibility issues that I've had with the speed booster and the Sigma 18-35. But before I move on to the compatibility issues, I really needed to shout out to D. Andrew Mung, John Chappie, and Stuff to See to help educate me on the APS-C lens, which the Sigma is, and why it's not compatible with the APS-C sensors with the speed booster attached to it. And I also need to shout out to Joseph Season for pointing out the errors in my math calculations when talking about the speed booster. So again, this is a learning experience. I'm a beginner at this, and I'm kind of relying on my viewers to help me out and to educate me in the places where I need help. So thank you guys very much, or ladies, thank you very much. I really appreciate your help. And to everybody else that left comments. There's some people I don't really know how to pronounce their names, but I thank everybody that left a comment. It's been very, very helpful. So moving on to the compatibility. Is my mic on? My mic's on. Okay, moving on to compatibility. The EF-M lenses are not compatible with the booster at all. The mounting ring is way too small, and it's just not meant to use as a speed booster. It would be nice if they actually came out with a speed booster to actually get full frame experiences with the EF-M lenses. I don't know if they're going to do that or not, but it would be nice. So next one, the EF lenses. I've never had a problem with any of the EF lenses with the speed booster because these are meant for full frame cameras, and the image circle cast onto the APS-C sensor does not hinder the image circle that's cast from the EF lenses. What I did end up having a compatibility problem with was the Sigma lens 18-35, which is meant for APS-C sensors. And I guess the way that the image circle is cast onto the sensor is already reduced a little bit. And then if you put the speed booster on it, it reduces it even more, which gives you the vignetting when you shoot in 1080p. If you're curious on what that looks like, you can go ahead and take a look at my other two videos, at the very end of my original video, I went through a whole bunch of shots and showed all the vignetting and all of the focal lengths. And then I explained what I felt was a reasonable explanation in my other video showing the image circles with an image circle with a filter and just a little small cutout square. You can kind of take a look at it if you want. I'll put some links up here for it if you want. So compatibility issues only happened when shooting in 1080p with an APS-C designated lens like the Sigma 18-35. The last compatibility issue, well actually I don't even think it's an issue, is the EF-EOS lenses made by Canon. There's a little small plastic ring on the end of these that does not allow you to actually connect to the speed booster. So even if you wanted to, it's not going to click into place. But again, there's some videos out there that show you how to cut this little plastic ring off so you can actually put these on the speed booster and utilize the EF-EOS lenses. I'm not going to do that. If you're curious, go ahead and take a look at that, but it's just not worth it to me. So I think that about does it for the compatibility. Now let's go ahead and move on to some of the other issues that I've had. And to do that, I need to swap back out the lenses so I can actually grab the speed booster to show you what I've been having problems with dealing with infinity focus. And it's a pretty simple fix. So if you're having the same exact issue that I did, it's really simple, really easy to fix, and I'll go ahead and show you how to do that. Give me 1 second to swap everything out, and then I'll show you what to do. Okay, I'm back, and now I have the EF-M lens back on the M50. Right now, I also switched back to 1080p. Last time I was shooting in 4K, and the camera was 4 feet away from me, and now it's basically at hand's length. It's 2 feet away from me. I wanted to talk about the problems that I was having with the infinity focus on all of my lenses when using the Viltrox speed booster. When I had this attached to the camera and I was videoing myself, I noticed that I was already out all the way to the maximum focal, I don't even know what you call it, the focal range. I was already out to the maximum, the infinity mark, and using manual focus with the focus peaking on the M50, my face was red, and I can kind of see the crispiness of red that the focus peaking shows you in the M50. And I thought that was kind of strange that I was already out to infinity focus just 2 feet away. So I looked online, and apparently there's a really easy fix to that. And that fix comes with the lens that's found inside the speed booster. You take this and you rotate it counterclockwise, and as you rotate it, it'll spin, and then throw it back onto the camera and see if you achieved infinity focus. If you didn't, take it back off, spin the lens again counterclockwise, put it back on, and eventually you'll get infinity focus. So again, I thought that was kind of strange when I took the focal ring or the focus ring and I was already at infinity and nothing was in focus behind me. So I messed around with this a little bit, and then I took the cloth and then just cleaned it up, put it back on the camera, and I was good to go. So easy fix for not being able to achieve infinity focus. Just a few final thoughts, and then I'm going to call it good for today. So just remember, whenever you're shooting in 1080p, there is a 1.136 crop factor, and then when you're shooting in 4K, there is a 1.8 crop factor. Both of those are when you're shooting with the speed booster. There's a battery issue that people are reporting with the booster, but just like I had mentioned in my previous videos, I have no battery drain. I believe that was fixed in an upgrade. Or all the new speed boosters that are coming out do not cause that battery drain. And the ones that I've had have been perfectly fine. Which takes me to the point that I've had 2 of these so far. And my initial review from the speed booster was wrong. After everybody started to make those comments, I repurchased it, and it's been a mainstay on my camera ever since. I definitely believe that this is well worth $156 or US $156. I would suggest going out and getting this accessory for the M50. It's well worth it. I have an affiliate link in the description below. If you want to purchase that through my link, I get a little bit of a commission. That would help me out a little bit if you want. So I think that's going to about do it for me. If you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed yet, consider subscribing. Click on that notification button. If you found this useful in any way, go ahead and share it with somebody. And I think that's going to about do it. Yeah, That's it. So I'll see everybody in the next one.